Welcome to Strategy and Solidarity Pod, the podcast, an act of revolutionary defiance and a celebration of things that bring us comfort, solace, and joy as we work to reclaim our humanity together. I am Carlos Kareem Wyndham.
And I'm Teresa Logan. Hey, Carlos,
How are
how's your
you,
nervous
my
system
friend?
doing today?
Uh-oh, look at that. I think I won. I don't know who won. You want Rochambeau for it?
I mean, I'm good. I'm fine. It's it's a beautiful sunny day outside. It's springtime. There's literally birds chirping and all kinds of plants just bursting into life everywhere I look when I go outside. So that helps me quite significantly. I've had some ups and downs over the past week of some moments of despair and concern that we may all be getting like drop kick into LARPing the Grapes of Wrath in the very near future. Um, but I feel my feelings in those moments and let them move on through, and then I recenter and find the things that are meaningful and regain perspective by turning on the hot water and the lights in my house and reminding myself that I got those things. I'm doing pretty good. Yeah, and keep it moving, focusing on what's mine to do. I think I'm learning a lot of lessons just from spending time outside around my house and my new yard, about boundaries and what's mine to do today. And it's like there's a billion things I could do out there. There's all kind of weeds and plants and blackberry thorns and um, there's some dream landscape of what I would like to do to contribute to what's already out there that's already quite gorgeous and wonderful, and to maintain the health of the fruit trees and all the other things that are out there. But it's like a lot. And so I'm just like, what's mine to do today? And today it is pulling up all these little tiny maple saplings that I keep finding everywhere because you can't grow a tree right there. Tree you can't grow an inch away from my foundation. You can't grow in between the legs of the rose bush. Like, it's not going to work there. So it's easy to just be like, well, this is the one thing I can do today. I could just do a lap around the yard for 10, 20 minutes and just pull up all the little tiny maple saplings that are coming up all over the place. Because though I love trees, that is not a place a tree is going to be able to thrive. So that little baby tree's got to go. And so I've been learning a lot there about holding boundaries, deal with my blackberries. Like, I can't just yell and shame the blackberries into not colonizing my yard. I have to actually go like pull them up and get rid of them. Requires action. And I don't have that energy or capacity to do it every day, but on the days I do, when the sun is out and I have a minute, then I don't need to be like, I will tackle every single weed in the entire yard this weekend. It's just like, no, I'm just going to focus on this little patch of blackberry today. And the next time I see the next one get a little overgrown, then I'll go focus over there. And if I can transpose that like very real embodied in the world action into the virtual social world, I also navigate for work and life and dealing with the news of all the horrors happening in faraway places and some across the street. Then I can kind of tap into that same energy of like, I can't do almost anything about everything, but like, what's the one thing I can do today? So that's how my nervous system is doing. It's a ongoing tending cultivation, work in progress. How about you? How's your nervous system holding up today on the 6th of April, 2026?
That's the day that it in fact is. Pretty well, given all circumstances. I definitely have spent a great deal of the day trying to address my nervous system by doing really much exactly what you were just talking about, right? Like dealing with what is mine to do, dealing with what I can do, and having deep appreciation for what is true right now, acceptance of the rest of it, which is not to say embracing it, just accepting that that's what it is, because that's where you work from. And, not I think much better than the rest of us right now. Uh, that said, I'm sure that there are people having just marvelous times right now, and that they are blissfully detached from um, the politics of the moment, or whether that's globally or locally, or what, whatever it is, and the contexts from which we work. But that said, those are the contexts from which we work. So for me, it's a little sticky. It's a little sticky. Um, yeah, and knowing that, the reality of knowing that I'm in, and we are most of us are in places where the current circumstances, personally and globally, are untenable, and moving from frustration and desperation is certainly not going to yield anything that anybody's after. Um, so really just trying to stay in the appreciation, along with the awareness. Um, Certainly have been allowing myself to just feel, you know, and in the States, that is a thing of which we have been, a thing that we've been trained out of, or out of doing, by and
You gotta
large,
fix it. Yell at
right?
someone, make them fix it.
Yeah, so you do something about it, and you don't take no for an answer. All these wonderful, wonderful
Colonizer mentality, toxic socialization.
slogans of how far are we in? Oh, I can say things now. Slogans of rape culture that we have brandished as the secrets to success in this country. Uh, you know, ew. And so just really just sitting and being in it, feeling it, um, knowing that, there needs to be solutions. I am doing what I can do, and recognizing that that is all that any of us can, right? And how far beyond our reach most of it is, um, has been demonstrated quite clearly, right? With the current regime deciding that they will do as they please, um, their own voters be damned. Not that you necessarily believe that they had voters, but even the idea of it, uh, that's not really their focus. So
I mean, they
that's where
clearly
we
have people
are.
who voted for them. Did they also manipulate the results to steal the election? Very possibly. Doesn't
Oh,
mean
I'm
there weren't
sure
also
somebody
actually
voted
real
for them.
people there voting for them. There's clearly no shortage of MAGA supporters out in the world, even if some
Yeah.
of them are maybe starting to roll back inside their protective armor or something. Like,
I think there's still a
taking down their flags,
I
putting
mean,
away their
there's a fair
hats.
amount of double down. It's just like, the gaslighting is having to be quieted a bit, right? Cannot be as loud, right? Uh, I don't know how they see anything, but um, one of the things that is clear is that the desperation to get out of that boat and move around elsewhere, is rising, and that um, the maniacal wave of firings that we absolutely predicted is happening.
It's
Whatever,
like the
you know.
was a king that just kept cutting his wives' heads off. Like
Mhm.
same kind of energy, right?
Yeah, just how many of these people have to get scaramuched? And like the thing is, at least Scaramouche was in a position where all he was doing was the podium work, right? Like it wasn't like he had to aggressively do anything except for be the
Are you talking about a real
spokesperson.
person? Is that a real name? Is that a play on
Scaramucci?
someone's new? I
Oh,
don't know
for
what you're
sure.
saying.
Yeah,
What is
no,
that?
Scaramucci was the shortest lived speaker. What the fuck? Who was he talking to? Press secretary. That's who he was.
Oh, okay.
During Trump's first administration, I think he lasted 3 months. Um, yeah, and he was odd. He was an odd fellow.
Yeah.
He looked like a shrunken down. Um, well, maybe not even shrunken down. He looked like a young Joe Pesci. It was
Okay.
very odd. It was very odd. Anyway, what's happened to Bondi? What's happening to the rest of them now? It's like, yeah, and no shit, and I don't care. And also,
Christy Nome and her husband's business hypocrisy being put out for the world.
all the fake titties in the world. I don't care. I don't care. I didn't care before. I don't care now. She's asking for thoughts and prayers. She's got mine. I
Mhm.
pray that she goes to jail soon. I think what a lot of these folks did not think through is that while there's no precedent in which the key administration players, president, vice president, end up going to prison, at least there has not been in this country heretofore, that as recently as Nixon, there's clearly precedent that everybody, all the way, all the rest of the way down, can go to prison and is likely to. And you can't pre-pardon people, and you can't pardon people,
They can do whatever they want to do. They just try, see what
right?
works.
And you can't pardon people after you
Yes, I
don't have
can.
power.
Oh my god.
So they're in a complicated situation. I don't care about them though. I really don't. I'm so tired of them. I'm so
I
tired of them.
I I don't know. I can't even really keep up and I don't really try with the news because there's just so much, right? And like that is their entire strategy is just do whatever the fuck we feel like doing, let them try to stop us. It's pretty much their whole entire approach. And the approach of trying to stop them in the courts has not been ineffective, but it's so slow. So much damage is done in the time it takes to try to go through the courts to hold them accountable through the legal process. Um, that
Well, which
just,
makes it ineffective, right?
yes. Yeah.
Like,
Now the Forest Service is being dismantled. It was one of the last holdouts. I mean, it's just the park system. It's like they really are like cartoon villains, just trying to see how much they can destroy in the shortest amount of time. Like real life Pinky in the Brain, just like, what are we going to try to do today? I don't know. Let's see who we can drop a bomb on today. Let's see who we can destroy. They're evicting the bison from the BLM lands so that cows can come back in. They're just like just want to colonize so we can extract every little last bit of whatever there is to extract before the entire system collapses. Seems to be their only goal. And there's only strategy just like do as much wild shit as possible until until we can't anymore because we're dead or the whole system collapses or whatever. Like, I can't even try to wrap my brain around it or track anything because it is so much and it is so beyond my comprehension of what a human and how a human would try to move through the world um, with other humans. Like, so I don't even know. And, I struggle with that many days of just finding that balance between what's mine to do, focusing my energy there, and that place of like, but am I doing enough? Because so many days there's so much happening everywhere that it never feels like I'm doing enough. Because how can I keep track of like the bison and the data center and the schools and my children's own schools and my family in Cuba and the folks in Iran? And, there's just like so many things. It's really impossible for my brain to wrap my head around all of it and even know where to start. And so I do struggle with trying to find that balance of like, am I smelling the flowers outside of my yard too much and not doing more where I could? Or is this world just full of chaos and I just need to like tend to my garden, which is like not just like the actual garden outside, but like my children and my immediate community. And that feels like where I have the most power to create the most meaning in this moment. While also sending, money and food to our family in Cuba when I can, and sharing verifiable, credible information with other folks who care what I have to say when I can, and continuing to offer skills and strategies to our community of folks who are also trying to kind of build their own little tend their little gardens of community and meaning where they can, how they can, because for me it feels like that's the only way forward right now. Like, trying to dominate the world like it's a game of Risk, or have the one solution that's going to work for everyone, impose your will on people who don't like you. Like I can't even really engage at that level anymore. um One, because I realized how arrogant and irrational it was to ever think that I could from from where I'm sitting, whether, from being a college student to now. And two, is just like that just spins my energy out into their world and their plans and their thing. And it's like being caught up in the fight between good and evil, and like they pull and we push, or we push and they pull. It just keeps us trapped in the same binary back and forth. And I'm like, I don't want to do that. And I don't have the power to stop the whole system globally, but how do I'm just going to pull my energy out of it and think about, what can I plant? What can I tend? What am I growing? What kind of seeds am I spreading? And really focus on what is immediately within my power, like within physical touch and, virtual touch of the folks we're in community with online as well. Um, because that's is what feels like it has the most meaning in this time of things that are so beyond our control. Um, and I wish they weren't. Like, I wish I, could flip to a different page of this book, choose a different adventure. But since I appear to be stuck in this one for the time being, that for me is how I'm figuring out how to cope and have enough energy and resources to show up for the people that I can, when and how I can, instead of kind of collapsing under the overwhelm of all the things I cannot control and kind of spinning out into fear and urgency and believing delusionally that me go holding a protest sign somewhere is gonna be the thing that changes something. And again, not to say that people shouldn't do that. Absolutely, we should go hold protest signs where we can, but to not delude myself that like, oh, if only I would go out and hold a protest sign more often, that would change everything, because that is not the thing that's gonna make everything change. But if I, you know, talk to the people around me about how they can organize to change something in their school or their workplace, or what it would take to organize a union, or the places where we do have power in our real lives, I think that is where we start to build things, even if that doesn't, and we can't immediately see how that impacts the global scale. It is the foundation that helps to create that possibility for that kind of change down the road, while also letting go of like, the world is not within my control.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and you you do have a wider uh, impact, a larger footprint than does the average Facebook user and or uh, uh, certainly in Portland, 70-year-old on the corner, which is not the same as the folks who are in the march, which is not the same as the folks who are on the front lines. But each of those is a place, right? And
Absolutely.
many of those, each of them comes with a sacrifice, and it comes with the appropriately sized sacrifice, I would think, for most people. And right now, the sacrifice that you offer, have continued to offer, in the vulnerability, in the demonstration, in presenting up to presenting yourself, and those changes, right, in the communities in which you reside and live, the vulnerability of change, right, that is going to have right now I think more lasting impact than a clever meme, of that you then throw onto a protest board and get the right
Yeah, and
photo
not
at the right
to
time.
minimize, like everyone has
For you,
their
no,
their
that's a
role in
huge
place,
thing.
right? Like I
That's a
appreciate
huge
what
thing.
you're saying. It's not. It's like what is right for me. What is my lane?
Yeah,
My lane is not all the lanes. I wish my lane was all the lanes. I wish I was like in the movies and I had all these skill sets to go out, be on the streets and working, in the in the resistance or what. I don't have those skills. I don't have those
Mm-mm.
connections. I really don't. Um, and I wish I could be in all the
Man, I
lanes all
got
at
a
the same
clever
time, but
meme.
that
I
that
got a clever
discernment,
meme for you. If you want him a meme, I got him a meme. That's really all I got, though.
that discernment of like what is my role and being willing to sacrifice. Like my role is not to be the one leading the charge. My role is not to be the one working the underground right now. What is my role? And is, helping people build capacity to do administration and logistics, which are the things that keep everything moving. If you don't have those things, everything falls apart. You can have all the charisma in the world, but if you can't feed people or tell them where to go or get them to show up, it kind of doesn't matter. And
Yeah.
those are the things that I am actually good at and can help other people learn how to do. And so I think getting out of that like hero place where like everyone feels like they need to be a hero and really recognizing what are the things we do not, lionize and put up on pedestals that are the foundation that like help people make sure we eat and are safe and get fed and take care of the kids. That really is the work that needs to be done right now. I don't know how to stop the warmongers. They don't care
No.
if we protest. We should still protest, but they don't care. Um, the folks in mostly in other countries, I haven't really seen that happening here. Protesting at the ports and the airports and like shutting things down is really impactful. Again, I'm not a Teamster anymore and I don't have any connections. And I don't know what the political inclinations of are the dock workers in the United States. And I bet it varies from port to port. And so it's like, lots of strategies, and not everyone can work every strategy even if you want to. And so finding that place of what's important in mind is like, what are we tending and what are we growing? How are we saving seeds for whatever comes next, for
Yeah.
whoever survives what's going on now? Because it's likely to get rougher before it gets better.
Well, and as much as I enjoy, watching the flaming Tesla dealerships and Amazon emptied warehouses and the data centers. I mean, I love that. That's good, and not bad. And fire is sometimes good, right? There, and even a useful tool, right? We've talked about why I am prone to burn a bridge, and I will say again, is so to make sure that motherfucker can't follow me across the valley. Like that's the whole point. This was a oopsie. Let's stop that one. This bridge over here with these people, they cool. That bridge is gone. And giving ourselves that much room, right? That much space. And realizing again, too, that we are not again two again, also three. that we are not on a timeline wherein we are somehow reduced to being on the side of good or evil. Because even if you move out to those weird, far too reductive binary ideas around it, right? The reality is that the binary ideas around it don't come from even the places that propagate the ideas. You know, I don't care, but it's not my religion, it's not my thing. But I'm aware that Lucifer was God's favorite angel. Like I know what things are. Like you can't trick me. You know what I mean?
You told me you didn't know
was the
what
most
Easter was
beautifulest one.
yesterday.
Well, it's more fun to do that. I'll gaslight celebrants of the occasions because I think, as you say, like the dismantling of things, right? Like I'm like, I'm not doing Easter. I don't want to deal with that.
I think
I
this
talked
was
to
the
my
first
pop. I think it
year.
was the first time we didn't talk about Easter. Go ahead.
It was the first year that I did nothing for my children. My youngest is 11. My oldest is 16. It was the first year there were no Easter baskets. I did make some brownies because I had a box of brownie mix in the house. I made some brownies to go to Easter brunch. And look, I have a big family. Irish. I grew up in a big Irish Catholic families on both sides. The Logans on my mom's side had 8 kids, and the Connollys on my dad's side had 6 kids.
Okay, first of all, those are made up bullshit names from a sitcom.
No,
I know that.
no,
That
those are my
no,
real
I
names.
that was
My
nope.
name
That was my
hyphenated
favorite.
most of my life, Teresa Logan Conley.
That was my favorite sitcom in the '90s. I loved it. The Logan Connollys. Everyone remembers that. That was
No,
great.
here's the one. My
With that family
grandmother's
with 25 white
it gets
people in
better.
it.
My grandmother's maiden name was Brogan, and she married someone named Logan, and so everyone called them the rhyming cousins, and they all had
I
like
hate
8,
that
10,
so
12,
much. I hate that so much on so
8,
many
10,
levels.
12 kids in the family. Anyway, point is, I love my family. We're actually quite close. And even after my grandmother passed, we still get together on holidays. And so we're having brunch over at my uncle's house. And I had seen all the things all the other family was bringing. It was like, there seems like plenty of food, but I think it would be rude to show up with nothing. And what I have in my house is a box of brownie mix. and a bunch of like edible flowers outside of my house. So I made these brownies and little cupcake things. So they're little like 2-bite brownie size. And then I covered them with edible flowers. And it was so beautiful and lovely. And that was my contribution to Easter brunch yesterday. And I did nothing for, I think it's the first time I made 0 effort to do anything for my children because they're old enough that I don't feel like I need to do Easter Bunny anymore. There were other little kids around, so there was still some, they helped the other little babies go look out for eggs and things. And it was cute because my kids aren't the babies anymore.
You can make them watch Jesus Christ Superstar.
There also was no, and it's funny because my uncle is a former Catholic priest. He left the priesthood, I don't know, before my kids were born or sometime around there. So sometime in the last 15 or 20 years. But there's not really a religious holiday anymore. My kids used to go to church with my mom all the time. But we've really divested.
Fiddler on the Roof?
From the religious aspect.
Watch Fiddler on the Roof.
But it was nice to just have like a spring celebration. At least that's how I looked at it. A spring celebration.
Did you wear pastels?
I wore blue and white.
Is that Easter coded? I have
springy.
No idea what anything is. Okay, there you go. There you go.
It's nice to get, dressed and go hang out with family and have a nice little feast.
Oh, good.
I enjoy
if you
part.
like it, I love it.
I like the more like earth-based celebration that's about like let's celebrate spring and new beginnings. And I don't really do the religious part of those holidays anymore.
Yeah.
Did you grow up hunting for Easter eggs? Were you the Easter
egg? Yeah. No,
No.
no, no. It was just some carryover shit from Protestant church. Couldn't stand it. Hated it. Hated the church. Hated the pastels. Worst candy of every holiday.
You're not a jelly bean fan?
That's my hot take. That's my hot take. The big jelly bean, the conspiracy, the Easter conspiracy, fell back after the closure of malls, and there were no more Jelly Bellies, forcing us to eat popcorn and jalapeno flavored jelly beans. What the fuck was that?
It was delicious and exciting. They were novelty.
They were a novelty.
It's like the ice cream with all the flavors in Portland. Like, it's just novelty and something new and fun to try and talk about. And
remember novelty food? That will be a cute memory. Anyway, yeah, it always felt like what are we doing here? What are you're celebrating what now? Huh? I don't like this. This is gross. I don't get this. What are you doing? And it felt that way. Like, it felt icky. It felt pastel. When I was growing up, and I don't know what that means. Is that a thing?
I've never been a pastel fan. They're not my favorite color.
For a thing to feel pastel.
I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah, so
I can taste the chocolate in my mouth.
Yeah, if you're of an age, you know of which I speak. I know that they have improved the situation for the youngs, but man, some jelly beans in green tinted tinsel is not my jam.
Thank you for letting me know. I'll keep that in mind.
In case you were ever going to shove an egg filled with tinsel.
Rocket ship hat in honor of the rocket ship going around the moon right now?
I have no idea what you're talking about in terms of what's happening at the moon.
No?
No, this is...
There's a black man piloting a spaceship around the moon, and they're going around the dark side of the moon.
Oh, no, he pulled the short straw?
They've actually done it, and now they are reaching maximum distance today, and they'll be circling back. And then I think...
How did they sucker him into doing that?
I believe he trained his entire career for the honor.
Honor?
I'm pretty sure you can opt out if you want to of that kind of mission.
It's like we don't learn anything from history.
Have been training
we don't
their
learn
entire
anything
lives.
from history. White people want you to get on the ship. Oh, okay, here I go. No, really, that's happening though, for real?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's well, good for him, I guess. What's his name?
Captain Glover.
oh my God. So ready to celebrate and shame me for not celebrating and called him Captain Glover when I asked for information. What's his name? Have you found it? That's hilarious.
No, that really is his name.
Well, I'm sure that's his title and his last name.
That is. I can't remember what his first name is. I'm trying to look to find it.
Okay. Captain Glover. Sir. His name is Sir. Yes, sir. What?
Are you really waiting for me to find it?
Well,
I can't find it now that I'm under pressure, but his last name is Glover.
Okay.
I mean, but you probably weren't into astronauts when you were a child either.
I mean, moon stuff and science stuff was pretty cool. I was pretty well into it, but I was
Were you traumatized by Challenger?
No, I was aware of it. No, I know I'm supposed to be, and I don't mean to be flippant. I'm not disregarding the folks who got blowed up, but I will also say that you know, if you gonna fly up in space at some point, somebody gonna get blowed up. Like that's, I sorry,
Yeah, no, it's
like
just
that's gonna
traumatizing
happen.
for a whole bunch of school children. We're watching and like live streaming it when that was not a thing we did really back then. Victor Glover.
Did you say
Victor
live
Glover.
streaming?
I mean, it was a live broadcast on which the children in their classrooms were watching on a TV and saw it explode.
Yes, we
That's the
were.
equivalent of live
They
streaming.
rolled it into our they rolled the televisions into our
Did you see? You did see
classrooms.
it,
Yeah.
and it wasn't
Yeah.
traumatizing to you.
No.
Interesting. How old were you?
Well, it was in the spring, so I'm going to say that would make me then 13. Um, I don't know.
Okay,
Like,
interesting.
what are you doing? No, I guess it happened when I was in sixth grade, so 12, I guess. But like, still, like, maybe sixth or seventh, I can't remember. But
It was 1986.
80s, so seventh. So okay. Yeah, no, I don't know what people expect.
Interesting.
Like if you get on the 2001 ship, if you get in the alien ship, like shit's gonna not go well for you.
Mm.
Like at some point, things are not going to go well. Keep going. I'm not saying don't. Also, why? What are
I
we
think
doing?
Americans and white Americans in particular are trained to expect happy endings. From a very young age, we are trained to expect happily ever after, happy endings. That things should work out, things will be okay.
Yeah, I don't know. The movies I went to as a kid did not end that way. Even the
No,
kid movies. No,
really,
Bad
like
News
what?
Bears lost. The Bad News Bears lost.
I don't know if I ever saw that one. I've
In
heard of
Breaking
it.
Away, one of them died. Like shit didn't go well. Shit
Interesting.
went bad. My Bodyguard was about a kid with a bully, and the bully and the kid had to fight at the end, and the bike that they were trying to protect still was trashed, and you know they were going to fix it, but it got fucked up.
And what
Like,
happened?
and
What was the
everybody,
takeaway? Did one of them die, or what? They became friends, or what
nobody
happened?
died in that one, but like
Oh,
don't let your face get mushed up, I guess, all the time. Like don't just let people take advantage of you. Fight for yourself or something. I don't know. I don't know. It was, I mean, it was cute. I liked it. You know what I mean? And like
he
they still
defeated his
had,
bully.
they defeated their bullies, but when I was a kid, it was still like the actual fears that kids had were the fears happening in movies. They didn't wrap it up in like mouses and stuff. It was just kids. But all those children, I mean, their lives didn't end up fantastically, the actors, all of them. But all the way up until like
I
through
mean,
junior high, I was going to
there's
Lost
exceptions
Boys
for
by myself
sure.
when I was like 12. You
Okay.
know what I
I mean, you
mean?
had a
Like I guess that was
particular
that was
slant
an
and
exception.
bent. There's a lot of sitcoms where there's something would happen, but it would all work out okay. A lot of
Oh, sure.
Disney
Yeah,
movies, a lot of
At
after
the end of the
school
half hour.
specials where trauma would happen, but then they, figure out how to resolve it. Like definitely the vast majority of media, the meaningful exceptions and
What was
genres,
happening
but
in your after school specials?
I mean, I think people get pregnant or like,
Yeah.
yeah, they'd work it out by the end though, wouldn't they?
Like Rob Lowe got to raise the baby. Scott Baio smacked his swimming friend in the head from smoke because he was hot. Like it didn't go well for anybody. It went
By the
like,
end,
oh,
what happened at the end? I'm talking about the endings. I'm not talking about the trauma and the drama of the
well, they
story. I'm
don't
talking
show
about
you.
the
I mean, you
ending.
don't know that. You don't know because they're
It
like
doesn't
17 still.
it doesn't usually just leave off. It usually leaves off on a positive note of it looks like things are headed in the right direction finally. Or they're gonna work through it and
I
persevere.
think it was like a high moral lesson. Like, yeah, your
Maybe
friend's
not
in
all
the
the after school
hospital. I'll never
specials.
smoke again.
There you go.
Hey, you're going to have to raise this baby now and you're 17. Dum
Trying to
dum.
scare you straight.
Yeah, it's more
Yeah.
that like yeah, I was raised in a different generation. Like I hear what you're saying. I'm not arguing the point. It's just like oh, that I Yeah, I got raised on some weird shit.
You
Oh,
also
Muppet
sought
movie,
out
Muppet
very
movie,
specific
Muppet
things.
movie, Muppet
Muppet
movie.
movie. What happened at the end
Well,
of
I
the
didn't
Muppet
seek
movie?
out. No, these are things I was taken to. I'm not. It's not like seek out things, right? Like the seek out things followed suit by and large, right? But it's what I had been taught. So, like, first generation, The Shining, first generation, messed up things that very young children shouldn't see, right? Scanners for people who will remember, because if you saw it when you were 7, you remember. There are things that just got snuck in, and then plus, right? My best friend was raised in a very loosey goosey household in terms of parental supervision and what was allowed to be watched, because we would be the only ones awake. And when the world is scary by itself, watching the scariest and most grown things you can find is not was not for us in regular practice. So yeah, American Werewolf in London, I don't know, he died. I guess he didn't have to be a werewolf anymore. Is good.
I can't go through like every movie individually. I'm going to stick with, by and large, there is a bias towards happily ever after in American media, because when I
Yeah, I
watch
think you're
movies that
correct.
don't end positively, then it's surprising because while there are many meaningful exceptions, because we also do have plenty of media, especially nowadays, that deals with like complexity and nuance and whatever, there is often a bias and a bent towards some positive potential at the end of the story. And so I think it trains us to expect that, well, it'll work out okay in the end. It'll all be for, everything happens for a reason. That kind of what can be a very helpful coping skill and can also be a lot of toxic positivity to bend towards that, like it's all, everything happens for a reason, grand design kind of thinking. It's interesting. I was just listening to a Radiolab episode yesterday. I like Radiolab, and it was interesting. They were talking about kind of like 3 different experiments or 3 different things that were pointing to the lack of any design or balance and just utter chaos in the universe. One of the most interesting things about the episode was just listening to the host kind of grapple with their own kind of intelligent design assumptions about the nature of life and their, what I assume to be kind of Judeo-Christian backgrounds. like like there was a professor in East Germany, I think, who just put some seawater in a giant like 100-gallon barrel and then did some experiments, and the control barrel was the one that had like the most stuff going on in it, and then he thought they would have all died after however many months had been sitting there. um, and it didn't. And then they kept replicating this experiment. It worked out completely differently every single time, because whatever you got in that 100 gallons of seawater is not exactly identical to the next 100 gallons of seawater, even coming from the same place, even if 99.9% of the makeup is exactly the same.
Wait,
That
I'm sorry.
1%
What were they
difference,
trying to find?
they just put seawater in a barrel and then they wait after months and they'd see what happened inside of there and all the microscopic life and zooplanktons. There'd be a whole entire ecosystem in there, but they were trying to find out how the ecosystem would arrive at some kind of balance, and it never did. So this idea that there is some natural balance that the world is supposed to be in, and if we could just find it, then everything would just maintain the perfect harmonious balance of life. They're like, maybe sometimes sort of, but maybe also it's just a lot of chaos and randomness, and that, Darwin's theory of evolution does not hold up to almost any real experimentation. That it's not, there are times where survival of the fittest allows, one characteristic or trait or species to endure where another doesn't, but most of the time it's kind of like random chaos and like catastrophe and viruses, and like you just can't account for all the factors out there. And so it was, again, really interesting to just listen to the host grapple with like, but I thought that like we're evolving towards something better. And it's like, no, there's no guarantee anything better has come. Do you not see all of human history? Like what kind of chrono arrogance you have to think like, well, this has got to be better than that. And it's like, I don't know, it's different for sure. there's a lot of days where I have gotten to the age where I'm like, it would be better if I did not have the internet. Right? It would be better if my life was more localized and in person and moving during the day and not in this virtual world of too much information and who knows if it's even right or true or accurate. And just that, these assumptions and biases, many of which, even if we are not actively still practicing and engaged in the dogma of these, religions, are still feeding and supporting so many fundamental biases and foundational beliefs that may not be accurate in our psyches. It's like, yeah, no, the world is chaotic. Anything could happen. Didn't you see the Jurassic Park and the butterfly flaps its wings? Like, you can't account for everything. There is no supposed to. And I think that's for me a place where I've disentangled myself from a lot of my, Catholic upbringing and all those beliefs. Is like, there is no supposed to. There's just life. We get to create whatever we want to create here. There's not a way we're supposed to be living. There's just whatever we decide to create together as we navigate the social conflicts and the natural disasters and all the things that come and go. There's not a perfect balance. There's not one way anything's supposed to be. It's our creation along with all the other energies of the universe that are creating along with us. I don't know. That's my current take on existence, but I don't know. I could be wrong.
Jurassic Park and Pulp Fiction came out the same year, so guess which one I saw?
Did they?
1992.
I was 10 years old,
was
so I saw
an
Jurassic
adult
Park and very frightened.
Yeah, I was a young adult. I would call that person a kid now. But well, we called each other kids then. Shit, we didn't think we were grown. But we did grown shit, but hey, what's up, kid? Like, we recognized what the fuck was what.
So you're like 20?
22, 21, 22. Yeah. It's everything that you just said, right? Like, the one thing I will say is that and we've talked about this many times, right? I know I've said this on the pod before. I know I've said this at presentations before in our conversations in planning, that like the chaos is, I'm not sure where to land, right? Because I've gotten so accustomed personally, like I know the archetypes, I know personally used to, the other shoe's gonna drop, this shit's gonna get fucked, nothing lasts, it's not gonna be good. Well, I hope you get something good out of it. You know what I mean? Like, that's been essentially my framework toward
so encouraging and supportive.
everything, right? And matched by this too shall pass. Right?
Oh my God.
When it gets super fucked.
It's very Saturnian of you.
I fell into moments. I had moments of hope. Life took care of that each and every time. I'm not young, and the idea that there is any predictor in how this is going to land for the majority of people. Okay. And I certainly include myself amongst that, right? I mean, it's beyond like a nihilism because it's not like, well, nothing matters. You know, like no shit, nothing matters. Nothing matters unless you make it matter. Like that's what's true about everything, right? And that's why the things that have and continue to mean something to me do. Um, you know, and why eventually they don't, because I see that for most people, the investment in the activity, whatever the activity happens to be, the activity ends up taking over the investment, right? It takes over the sacrifice. So whether the activity is podcasting, then you get caught into audience capture. And well, how do I say the most crazy shit to get the highest ratings and get the biggest audience? And then you get stuck in that place because, well, now you can't not say that because if your ratings go down, then is your value any good? Right. If it's in for me, right, in hip hop, like, okay, so if we're all just making the best amounts of rhyming words and the ideas behind yours are dumb, like, what am I doing in this conversation with you? Like, this is not a back and forth. And as the corporate interests deepened their tentacles into it and tightened their grip into it, like the likelihood that you were going to be able to be in real conversation with real artists was greatly reduced, right? Um, I find myself now, you know, involved in stand up, involved in what we're doing as ways to express in the immediate moment what's happening, um, without control, but right, still need an audience, still need a stage, still need to be able to like broadcast it someplace. Like it's not, you know, like, and that's the part of it that for me, I guess, is like, okay, yeah, we live in society. I don't have an issue with the innovations, uh, provided they are well regulated, right? Like that it sucks. I don't want to be a leech, but like that's the species we are. So like, can we reduce the amount of damage that we're doing while still, you know, generating what we experience as positivity, right? During our time together, shared experience, shared art, shared culture, shared invention, and shared connectivity, right? Ultimately, um, you know, once that got into the space of the Bernaysian free market, um, you know, all bets were off from that point. All bets were off, and I know that I am, as you, a bit romanticizing, like, oh God, yeah, no, I grew up in a time. I was a young adult during the time that there was no goddamn internet, no fucking like you were lucky if they had a phone machine. They were expected to, but it was still like maybe, and maybe they heard the messages, maybe they didn't. Do they got roommates? Are there other people in the house? Did the tape break? Who the fuck knows? You know what I mean? Barely pager generation. You could barely alert somebody, anything, right? But even if you did that, then it meant that they either had to call you or go meet you someplace. And if that were the case, that meant you already made a plan before. So you were already thinking of the future, even by weeks, right? Even if you didn't know what you were going to be, right? There was a thought of, well, I'm going to go to school so I can figure it out, or I'm going to go study with whoever, or I'm going to go work because I want to get my money. Like there was a thought about what people wanted to do
Was
because there
it
was a future.
was it what you wanted to do, or did you feel like there was like a right answer out there of what you were supposed to do and you needed to
It
go
always
find
felt
it
like
and
there was
figure
a
it out?
right answer, and it always felt like you were doing the wrong thing. Like that's just
Hmm.
I think that's the human condition,
Maybe.
at least in Western society, right?
Maybe
Like
in this current
like,
society for sure.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Like there's a thing that you're supposed to, right? But this is the same question that was raised in The Graduate, right? Like this is the same thing that was being raised in the 1960s during our parents' generation around responsibility and family. And, oh, you, okay, well,
I
great. You
mean,
got the
Plato
person
and
you wanted. They
Aristotle probably
rescued you
wrote some
from a,
stuff about it too.
absolutely.
You know?
Absolutely. You got rescued from the marriage you didn't want to be in. You're not going to be in plastics. Now y'all two niggas on the back of this bus. You got to figure out what you're going to do. Now what? How's that feel? Hello, darkness, my old friend. You know what I mean? It's like, there's never been a sweet time. That doesn't exist, right? And so I think that's part of where, for me, I get into, which is more where I was going, but I also didn't want to. I wanted to hear what was on your mind, honestly, and I wanted to give you first run at the platform today and the conversation today because one, if I were to force the idea that I've been living in, is it then being Pollyanna-ish, right? Or burying my head in the sand? Like, I don't know, right? But two, I wouldn't get to hear all of that, right? Because for me, what has been motivating is like, okay, well, what are the things that I can find honest and deep either appreciation or distraction in through different moments, right? And part of it is because I'm also navigating my own depression, which while it is circumstantial, it's also clinical. And so, like, you know, I can't tell you exactly what is happening right now, but if you're not a little bit depressed after talking about or listening to all the things we just talked about, fun, then weird, right? Like at least raise a pang of like, oof, yeah, the world. And yeah, that as a baseline for an entire country, that's a lot to carry for a decade of like, oh boy, what did he say? Like that's a lot to carry for a decade.
Yeah. I mean, there was
You
a
know,
time, right? Like as a child, and like when I was born in 1982 in Bend, Oregon, my father worked at the lumber mill with my grandfather. Like there
1982.
was a whole yeah, there was a whole world there though in that time and place. Like my father worked at the lumber mill with my grandfather. And by the time
That's
I was two or
wild.
three, they shut that lumber mill down, right? And that world
I'm
was
sure.
over.
Yeah.
But it still felt, and I had all this big family, and we go have Sunday dinners and birthday parties, and the whole family get together, and there was like a cohesive community thing. But that just, was pretty systematically dismantled over the course of my lifetime. Shut down the lumber mill. We moved across the mountain to the big city so my mom could go to school, didn't go see family as much, you know. But it still felt like there was like a right answer to life. Like, what am I supposed to do? If I go out and find my role, I will do my job, I will get married, have my kids, get the house, have a retirement, blah, 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 blah. Like there was a way you were supposed to do life.
I
And
would be
even,
so much weirder back then because I would still be very much what I am now. And I know that just because I know me, but I know what the supposed to's that you're talking about are. And like, I would be just like, am I doing this wrong? I think
oh,
I'm
yeah,
doing
all
this
the
wrong.
time. Well, in that part of that scripting, and that goes back to the happily ever after, whatever, it's like if you make good choices, you will get the reward of a stable, happy life. Now, are those lives for the people who actually go through all those motions generally happy? Maybe sometimes, often not. Right? Like the
Are they
difference
stable?
between Leave It to Beaver and then watching Mad Men and how that lady was all depressed and on all kinds of pills and
And that was the most economic stability you could have.
with a lot of economic stability.
You could
Right? So
not
no,
be
there's
more
no,
economically
it
stable.
comes back to my point of like there is no way to win at life. There is only how to create what you're trying to create with what you got to work with. And we do not all get the same starter kit of things to work with. You can create a lot more with $1 billion than with student loan debt. Like, but if we bring it back around to strategy and solidarity, I'd say examining some of those underlying beliefs and where they influence how you show up with yourself and with other people can be really important, because if you are still coming from this place of there's a supposed to, the way we see this so often play out in groups and at workplaces and community organizations is that people have this idea there's a right way this is supposed to be done, and you're doing it wrong and you're fucking it all up. And so you must be the problem. If we can get rid of you, then we'll figure out how to do it the right way. Or if we can just create the right systems, this will all function exactly perfectly. And neither of those work because there is no supposed to. It's like, what can you create with this group of people in this moment in time? And that may be something that continues, but that shouldn't be the goal. Everything has a lifespan. And it brings me back out to the garden outside of like, some flowers bloom for like 2 days, some flowers bloom for like a month. Everything has its lifespan. Some are perennial, some are annual, some you got to plant a new seed every year. Like our groups and our organizations and the things that we can do are the same way. They don't all need to be empires that endure for 1,000 years. That is not the proper goal at this time in life, or probably any time in life. It's like, what can we grow together now to meet the needs we have now? And for me, that's what's most important in this time of chaos and transition, is to like sacrifice, to let go of that belief that there is a right way, or there is something I'm supposed to be doing, or if I'm not achieving material success and abundance in this moment, it must be because I didn't do something right. And get to the place of like, life is lifing, it is chaotic. What can I create in this moment that will serve the well-being of life around me? Because I want to be a force for life instead of a force for destruction. And so that looks like in community groups and workplaces of letting go of the idea that if something goes wrong or you don't like an outcome, it's because someone did something wrong. If someone's actually causing harm and abuse, like, deal with them. But that a lot of times people like try to blame someone, like they're being toxic, they're being this, and it's like maybe everybody's moving from trauma and it's really hard right now, and there aren't enough resources to meet all of our needs, and most of us don't have the skills or capacity to manage this well. Yeah. That is your starting place. You can have a lot more grace and patience with one another and move towards what strategy is going to help us navigate this moment, knowing that there is not a right way and there is not a guarantee of success. There is no guarantee of a happily ever after coming for any of us. So how do we make the most of what we have to work with right now, today, for what we can create instead of what we think, we're entitled to or what we're supposed to? I always challenge people, like, delete that word from your vocabulary. If there was no supposed to, what would you do?
Yeah. I mean, you take that idea, and I just saw this documentary about part of the style of comedy that I do. And I don't do it on stage because it's not, what I do isn't really cohesive to it, but it's the stuff that I do online when I'm having like a one-sided conversation, right? And that I used to do in Smoke and Mirrors. And I'm having a one-sided conversation off screen. There's nobody there. Clearly I'm answering too quickly for there to be somebody I'm talking to, but to make it as interactive as possible. And I was watching this thing about this comic from a long time ago named Shelley Berman. And I don't know his real name. I mean, that is clearly not an actual human name. But whatever it was, Shelley Berman was a stage name. That is such.
Move on. Tell me what he said. I don't care.
I'm sorry. That is such an Ellis Island name. I can't get over that.
Oh my God.
Anyway, he had the one-sided conversations, and then Bob Newhart was also doing the one-sided conversation, which he got very famous for. You would know him for that too, because he did that at the opening of the Newhart. Well, I guess it was just called Newhart, as well as the Bob Newhart Show. Right? He'd have a one-sided phone conversation very quickly. And then that would be it, or the show would open with that. In the 80s, Ellen DeGeneres had a very famous bit she did, Phone Call with God. There was also a one-sided conversation that she did after a friend of hers had committed suicide.
Oh.
And also wildly famously, Lily Tomlin was known to do a one-sided conversation as the operator, who people my age know from Sesame Street, but was from Laugh-In. It's a very old stage gag at this point. All that said, Shelley Berman saw and heard that Bob Newhart was doing a phone bit. And one of his buddies was just giving him a hard time. Hey, Newhart stole your shit. And he was like, what? And he started watching it. He saw him and he was like, son of a bitch. And the conversations were not the same conversations at all. There was a bit during Newhart's bits that he would do a conversation on the phone. Berman was mostly just doing the conversation on the phone and not much else, right? But it would be 3 or 4 conversations, both very observational, and it's called sit down or sick humor. It's
What
more
is the point of this story?
Hold on now.
Okay.
Sit down or sick humor, right? So sitting down and changing what is happening in terms of what you had expected to see so that people are being even more revelatory. All of that said, because Berman had seen himself as such an every person who was kvetching and complaining about the state of modern life or whatever, and Newhart was the nice guy who was confused about the state of modern life. But he wasn't complaining. He was just like, wait, what's happening now? Right? More kind of take. Berman tried to control and dominate the space and was, oh, you took my thing. You can't take my thing. And as I just laid out, like I just named off the top of my head 8 comics who've done that. Like, it's not your thing. It's not a thing. If somebody takes a concept, somebody takes a joke.
It's like taking that baseball hat and putting a different logo on it and being like, you stole my baseball hat idea.
Go write a better joke. Like, what are you doing? You're going to eat off of a joke for your whole life? Were you going to eat off of a book for your entire, like a poem? Like, what are you doing? And you find that happening more in the cases of men, but very often because, of course, they're raised by men who know that men steal and will try to dominate. And if their shit gets dominated, they're like, well, I'm going to defend this, and ratchet that up and ratchet it up. In this case, what it ended up doing was Berman ended up destroying his own career, because his thing about like, well, I will never take less than perfection. If you take what's mine, I'm coming for you. And I'm going to let everybody see all of the backstage and the behind the scenes and whatever. Right. He lost his cool during a live thing that was like looking backstage, before backstage and like online. And this was like regular at all. And he lost it because a phone rang during his phone bit. And he was trying to like do a very touching, like, conversation with his father or something to close out his thing. And an actual phone rang backstage. And the audience was confused. They didn't know what to do. It took the gas out of the room. He stayed the performer, right? Then he went backstage and he lost it on people the way that I was taught to in theater, because that's supposed to be appropriate behavior or whatever the fuck. It is not.
Domination and control is how you get your way.
It's Peter Sellers bullshit. It's Shelley Berman bullshit. It is domination is control and frightening people. Louis C.K. bullshit. It's how you get your way. And to your point, there just has to be methodologies of being able to acknowledge that we are going to share space and that we're not all going to get our way, because there's just not space out here for us all to have our way. All the maple trees don't get to grow right here next to the house right now. It's not.
Right. And like ideas are like pollen on the wind, right? Like none of us have a completely unique idea that's only come from our brain and from nowhere else. They're pollen on the wind and
None
we're
of us
cross
does.
pollinating constantly in conversation and writing and media. There's constant cross pollination. Nobody comes up with a completely unique idea. Maybe, absolutely, people
Impossible.
steal ideas for sure. That's the way ideas are supposed to work. And if we didn't live in a society where your ability to like stay housed and feed your family was based on how you could patent your ideas or whatever your other form of labor production is. If that wasn't something you could profit off of at other people's expense, we wouldn't have to fight about it. We should just be out here cross pollinating with each other all the time to see what grows. And, you know, give credit where credit is due and have men stop stealing, especially women's ideas, would be great. Taking
Yep.
credit for what women have achieved and contributed. It'd be wonderful, but you know, it's like a sunflower growing and being mad that there's another sunflower blooming right next to it or something. It's like we're all out here. We should all be out here growing together and contributing together. And our focus should not be on me getting my way, me being the only one who knows the right way and imposing, dominating my will on everyone else around me. But like, how are the children growing? How are the children doing? It seems to be the last thing we care about these days at a global
Yeah.
scale, where they are the ones
Well, yeah.
paying the highest price for all these warmongers and people who out there acting like true evil really exists. I used to not think that it did, but they have made me reconsider that belief. It's,
I mean, there it does. It exists in action, right? And like, if all of your actions, as you said, we're all cross pollinating and building on the last thing, and if your actions are predicated on the last actions being evil, right? And that meaning that it is absolutely dependent upon the direct and explicit and illuminated exploitation of another person and or subjugation of another person, then you know. And if you just keep doing shit like that, then the easier it's going to get the next time. The easier it's going to get the next time. The easier it's going to get the next time until you've created a sociopathy in which the idea of finding feelings, right, it becomes a challenge. Straight men, right, like identifying how they feel beyond angry, like, yeah, that works to create soldiers. That's because that's what they are, right? Ultimately. And as you said, again, celebrating the actual creators, the actual innovators, the actual people who do the work to that point, while I am thrilled for Major Glover, and I am, if we're going to be celebrating going round the moon, which weird, shout outs to Katherine Johnson, Dorothy Vaughan, and Mary Jackson, who served as the actual computers and calculators that took us successfully to the moon the first time, and whose names are still left in the dustbins of history, despite the best efforts of Black women living today, and even their willingness to include Kevin Costner's ugly ass in their movie. So, you know, shout out to them. And I know they was trying to do something. I know there's a brother living on the shoulders of those giants. And I'm sure that there's a cool thing that will be invented that we will use without acknowledging as a consequence of this. Tang, email, some, you know, those are two things that come from all of it. So who knows what the next one will be. All right, those are words.
all
Do we
right.
need more words?
I think that's enough for today.
All right. Hey,
Be kind
shout
and
out and
patient
thanks.
with people out there.
Do
And
that. Do that.
let everybody find their place in the garden. You know, some people are flowers, some people are trees, some people are bees and pollinators, some people are composters. Like everybody has a role. And if you start looking for what role are the people around you playing instead of what they're doing wrong, because you want them all to act like a sunflower when they're like a composter or something. You know, like everybody's got different roles. So the more we make space for each other in our communities and spaces, the more we create that kind of tapestry and energy. that allows life to flourish instead of the scorched earth destroy anyone who doesn't agree with me and my half-cocked whim today approach that the people with all the power seem to be using.
Hey, thank you to all of the folks over at Strategy and Solidarity for supporting this podcast. If you'd like to be one of them, go ahead and join us over at strategyandSolidarity.org. Become a member. It helps, and you get to see and or hear this as early as it is available. Thank you to Amani Will for use of his track Love of the Earth. And thank you to, I don't know, there's probably somebody else we're supposed to thank or whatever, but I can't remember who it is. So if I forgot you, guess what? I appreciate you and I thank you. All right. That's it.
All right. Take good care of yourselves out there.